Common Core state standards. Do you remember the last time that you needed to map standards and integrate them into the curriculum? Well, it was a couple of years ago when I was still working in your district, and administration wanted to involve all of the people that would be impacted by the plan. So that meant pulling together curriculum coordinators, representatives of the teaching staff, those of us who were involved in tech integration and professional development. We all needed to be a part of those planning meetings, and it was important to get everybody's perspective so that we could all make the plan successful. Well, scheduling those meetings was really a problem because there was always somebody that wasn't going to be able to make it. And so at the next meeting, you'd have to bring the people who had missed the previous meeting up to speed and hope that you communicated the thread of the conversation so that they would understand how we got to the point that we were at in order to move forward. And sometimes it just felt like we were spinning our wheels. And then even once the mapping was done, we had to communicate the vision back to the teachers so that they knew what they were supposed to be doing in their classrooms and how they could integrate the things that we had come up with into their existing curriculum. And that was the only way that we were going to get them to buy into the plan. So that communication piece and the record keeping, that was really a headache. Here we are again with Common Core. Only the English Language Arts and Math standards have been finalized so far, but it's already a long list, and it must seem pretty overwhelming at first glance. Many of the standards identify technology as a key component for achieving the objectives that are embedded in the standard. And that means that not only do you need to fulfill the subject matter objectives, but you also have to be sure that you have the technology resources that are needed, which might mean planning for more equipment and certainly for professional development. Since leaving the district to work for Atomic Learning, I've been involved in a lot of important projects, but I have to say that the product I'm working on right now really has me excited. It's called Atomic Tech Core. We step back to look at the challenges that school leaders face with Common Core in order to create a product that would help them understand the Common Core state standards and effectively plan for their implementation. It also provides a way to communicate the plan directly back to teachers and gives the teachers some tools that can truly transform their instructional practice. This is the dashboard. It's the entry point for anyone logging on to TechCore, and it gives a quick overview of the implementation plans the user has access to. School leaders can see the big picture here. You can create as many different plans as you might want to track. Clicking on the name of a plan opens up the selected plan matrix. This is one step closer to the real nitty-gritty, with the list of main strands on the left and the grade levels that contain specific language for the standard indicated by the check marks in each column. If a strand contains a standard that has a tech component, it is indicated by the little gear icon in the left-hand column. The check mark itself indicates the status of the strand at the grade level. Gray indicates planning either hasn't started or is in progress. The check mark is green if planning has been completed. Strands that are going to be excluded from the plan have this icon, the check mark with the X on it. So on to the actual planning. We dig in even deeper by clicking on a cell in the plan matrix. Let's use the strand Writing, Production and Distribution of Writing in 9th and 10th grade as an example. There are 3 standards that are a part of this strand. By hovering my cursor over the buttons for each standard, the grade level specific language for the standard appears. This text comes directly from the official Common Core State Standard website, so you can see that you'll always have the language of the standards close by for easy reference. Clicking on the button for the standard opens the planning form. This is the real guts of the implementation plan. First off, notice that if you want to exclude a standard from your implementation plan, there's a checkbox for that near the top of this form. But for the standards that you need to include, this form is where you can plan the professional development that might be needed by your teachers, and you can also find lessons that specifically target the selected standard. Atomic Learning has created professional development and student lessons that are shown in my example, and these will appear in your list too, but you'll also be able to add resources that are unique to your district. One very important feature of TechCore is the Lesson Wizard, a series of tutorials and online forums that guide teachers through the process of taking lessons that they've already been using and helping them to align the lesson more closely to the Common Core standards so they don't have to give up lessons that they've already invested time in and really like. The Lesson Wizard can also be used to develop completely new lessons to add to the curriculum. Lessons that are developed in the Lesson Wizard will also be added to the list available on the planning forms, so the student lessons list will be continually growing. There is also a place to make notes about available resources, whether that's people, technology infrastructure, and devices, or other materials that might be needed or available to implement the standard. The Map to Curriculum menu will contain a list of the courses that are taught in your district, so you can easily assign standards to the appropriate class. When your team feels that the planning for a standard is complete, check the Mark as Complete box. When all standards in a strand have either been marked as excluded or complete, that information populates back to the plan matrix and updates the checkmark color or icon. Even more importantly, the information about professional development, student lessons, and curriculum mapping is directly communicated back to everyone involved, including the teaching staff, so you don't have to play telephone and hope that the correct information is passed along. Furthermore, if a teacher decides to use one of the student lessons in their class, all of the lesson information is also communicated directly to the students. It provides an unbroken communication channel from school leaders to teachers to the learners. We would love to show you more. Send a message to atomic@atomiclearning.com. Call us at 1-866-259-6890 or visit us online.